Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Tell Us More live experience. I think we're on episode number 10. It's been a fun ride so far. I was just listening to the beat. It's for those who don't know, we worked on that beat ourselves. It's a sample from Extras, where David Bowie is singing to Andy. Is it Andy or Ricky Gervais's character? Anyway, it's been a bit of a slow news day, so we don't have much in store for you guys today. But what we did find a little bit fascinating was the homie AKA was in the news. The homie AKA was in the news today. Did you guys see? Did you guys see AKA? He allegedly beat Corona, which is fire. We don't know who sanctioned the fight, but congratulations to him. It's been a really weird week, right? Because there's all this information that's been coming out over the last couple of days, and people are going back to school. People's kids are being sent back to school, which is really tough because your kids' lives are being put in danger for them to color outside of the lines. So I think we're all trying to figure out exactly what these regulations mean for one another. But yeah, I'm really puzzled about what to do with myself, what this means going ahead. I'm a bit frazzled. Today was a bit of a difficult day. But yeah, I think it's cool to see that our man's AK is back. Should we congratulate him? Give him a shout out. I'm going to call him up. I think he's still got some stash of alcohol chilling at his house. You know, he's an ambassador for Cruise vodka, so maybe he can hit us up. What's our next story? There's not much going on, like we said. Slow news there, but it is what it is. We did want to talk to you guys about the PS5 and the Xbox Series 1X. Apparently dropping holiday 2020, which is also weird because to be thinking about video games at such a time is a really bizarre thing. What I did find interesting, I don't know if you guys saw, there was a twerking competition on Instagram where a bunch of South African gentlemen were twerking for a PS5. We're going to try to pull up the footage and send it to you in the next couple of weeks. And it begs the question, what are you guys willing to do to get yourselves a special gift in this next holiday season? Are you willing to expose yourself on the internet streets? Because these are really tricky times now, right? Everybody's trying to figure out what to do, what kind of content to make, and we're all dabbling and experimenting. And it's like, how far are you willing to go to get people to watch what you're making? I'm excited. I've been playing a lot of video games at home recently. Ghost of Tsushima drops on Friday. That's a really big one. And it's been keeping me entertained. It's a weird thing about kind of like playing a game you've been playing for a long time because you know exactly what the outcome is. I think a lot of us, like we've mentioned over the last few episodes, have been trying to get back this kind of nostalgic feeling. We want to do things where we know exactly what the outcome is, right? People watching the same TV shows because they know exactly what's going to happen. I tried watching Ozark about a week ago, and I was just like, there's no fucking way I'm putting myself through this dark shit. It was just too much. When people's wives were being slayed right in the beginning, I was like, this is too much for me. This is a very traumatic experience for everyone. So hopefully you guys are doing good. Let us know if you're excited for these new consoles and machines and what you've been doing during the day to keep yourself going in these rather bizarre times. But of course, I'm not alone. I've got a special guest who's going to tell us a little bit of what he's been up to in this interesting time and what to look forward to in the year ahead or so. And I'm excited to chat to this fantastic gentleman. So let's welcome to the show the wonderful Kagiso Lediga. Hey, yo, it's all popping.
I'm loading.
Am I disappeared?
Loading me back in there. Am I coming on? You are in the show. Everyone can see you. I can't see myself. Can you hear me?
I can't see you either, Kagi. What's going on over there?
Nah, B. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What did you tobeta there?
Hello? I don't know. I'm outside here.
We're having our first technical difficulties. Kags, can you hear us?
Hello?
Well, we're gonna sit tight and try to get Kagi back in.
Hello?
Hello, how are you, Kags?
Strumjad.
Zdrmjad. I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna send Kagi a message. Can you hear us? Lidera. Lidera. All right, we're having a slight technical issue, but we're gonna keep trying and getting Kags into the room. I might hit him up, give him a young ring on the cell phone if I can find my mobile over here. But to those of you guys watching live, how are you doing? What's this time been like for you? Snetemba said they wanted to see Kagi. We do too. We're just trying to sort this out and see if we can get Kagi back into the room. I'm gonna ring him quickly and try to give him a message and see what going. But yeah, let us know how you guys are doing. What your experience has been like so far. Today was a bit of a horror show for me. I didn't have a great day. Power outages. That's also another shitty thing, right? Like having your power cut in the middle of like a really dry and barren winter. And I'd made the horrible mistake of not charging any of my devices. So I kind of just had to sleep for a few hours, which I know is not the worst punishment ever for not having electricity, but it was one of those days. We're going to try to get in touch with Kagi again, see what's happening over here. And hopefully he's back in the mix. Kagi.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I was out. Yeah, I was out. I don't know what happened. As soon as you announced me, I started talking. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having me. And then I realized that I wasn't on the screen, but there's this box on the side that says you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. So yeah, that was. I hope they didn't hear the things I said in that.
No,
time.
it's all good. It's all good. How are you doing? How's your lockdown experience been so far?
It's been intense because I've been working all the time. There's like, and that's what's not crap or what's been interesting. I guess it's a new experience. Is
Sure.
the idea that when you work at a place. I mean, I'm used to working at home to a certain extent, but then when it's official work and you're doing writing rooms, you have these Zoom calls, and then they don't end because then there's meetings. Then there's meetings that are on Zoom. Then there's people like people say like West Coast of America wakes up at a certain time, which is where I would be going home, right?
Sure.
I would be if I was working at office, I'm going home. But now it's regular because everybody in the world is trying to meet everybody else. So now 5 o'clock where you think it's time to go, or 6 o'clock, people are starting and they're sending, can you do 10 a.m. our time? Can you do 11 o'clock our time? And then now you find yourself some days you've been doing this thing until 10 in the evening. So it's very tiring.
Non-stop, kind of still on the grind.
Grind, bro. I was like, I took it for granted that I would be so much grinding.
It's so crazy. The last time I saw you was at the premiere of Queen's no? Which was also just a crazy night, like such an exciting experience for everyone. What's been the response of people? I know the show's been incredibly successful, but what has its success kind of meant to you and the team that worked on it?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, it's like at all of these things, that's like sort of, we kind of do these like shop window things. You do, like you did this set and then this will get you to this set and then you did this set. So it's like that, it's like the bigger set. Like Catching Feelings was like this shop window thing. Then we did Matwetwe, and it was a very different thing, because Catching Feelings is like, and like Zagalani. And then we made Catching Feelings. I remember Matwetwe, and everybody's like, this thing is blazing. And we made Catching Queen Song as like a broader thing in the world. But then also people are now discovering the other things. People are now going, where can I get my Twede? I just saw Catching Feelings. Oh my God. So it's like a cool thing where we're developing a body of work, So it's cool, and a voice. So it's fun. I'm just like, it's fun.
That is fire, though. I think a lot of filmmakers would love to have that kind of a catalog. What's that like to be able to say, hey, if you want to see my stuff, just look at all this other stuff I've done? Because that's what you've got now, from LNN to the Pio Monati show, like you said, to Matwete, all these flicks. What's it like having that body of work that you can look back on?
It's cool. I mean, it's cool for me. It's but there's like and it's different generations that I speak to. I guess there's people who kind of like know the PMS stuff. Then
Mm.
there's people who just like, yo, did you know that that Savannah guy makes movies? You know, so it's like a different. It's, it's, it's different. It's different. Yeah, it's just like interesting where you go. You know, so like some things that I do that like I'm Queen Sono is like a
Yeah.
pill. People go, oh, that guy, oh, he's involved with that pill Tuesday thing. Versus, like so it's different things. It's interesting. I had this crazy dream. I was saying to in the writing room yesterday that
Yeah.
I had a weird dream. I don't know if this was daydreaming or what. That I was at the Woolies and
Okay.
then there's these people in the queue. Then I heard, "Uyamazlovava, Uyamazlovava, man." And then I looked around. And the people were talking about me. So it was yeah. That was kind of disturbing. And because I was balding as well, I started balding. It's hard to see, but I've been doing
Are you
all sorts
for
of
real?
things
For
too.
real? Because that's a big fear I have. Like every year, I think, shit, this is the
Yeah,
last year of the
but
afro.
yeah. I had to come to terms. I mean, I think it's getting better now. It was also stress, and
Sure.
people said take these medications, what. But yeah, it's a real thing now. Now I don't imagine. I used to imagine myself as a timer with the big hair. Now I'm imagining myself as a timer with a bandan. Like as you know when you see yourself, and then I was proposing that just to keep it fresh. Maybe I would dye. I would, you know what I mean? Like have like those yellow, because then you still holding on to the youthness, but it's
No,
interesting.
that's
Yo,
too far though.
yes,
Like those
lova,
balies that have those cuts, you're like, nah, let it go, malum.
yes, lova, but yeah, and also I feel like yeah, so and we'll see. I think I might I might have bought myself a couple of months. We'll see.
That's fine. I mean, you guys are working on Queen Sono season 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Season 2, yeah.
That's fine. I mean, it's interesting because a new set of kind of like rollout came out of Netflix and kind of them showing African creators. Like, what does it mean now to be able to tell these stories on such a global platform? Because I think what we have now is like filmmakers and storytellers is the opportunity to have global releases like at the same time. What does that feel
Yeah,
like?
yeah. I mean, it's exciting. It's definitely exciting. It's like a new normal as well in a way, right? For creators,
Mm.
because I have a lot of people hitting me up for, yo, I'd like to get this thing on Netflix. And I'm like, yo, me I work at the print. Hey, Netflix is other people, but like every call I get, even on Twitter, say, I believe you are doing things with Netflix. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing things with Netflix. I'm not Netflix, but I think I think I think the that is a new normal. I think now people don't, you know what I mean? There's no going back in a certain sense. Like
Sure.
we only yeah, every creator kind of knows that, oh man, I can make a thing that gets consumed like across the world at the same time. So that becomes like what everybody aspires to. At some point, we all wanted to be on SABC One, and then
Mm.
we wanted to be on Mnet. Now we want to be on Netflix. You know what I mean?
For sure. I feel you. I
Yeah.
mean, you were talking now about like people pitching ideas to you. What's the craziest thing? Because like often we'll meet someone who's like, man, I did a show in Bumalanga, put me on at Blacks Only. Then you're like, whoa, like I just met you.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess people don't have the. I never had that though. I never had this sense that I could just walk up to like I don't know who has been or Skido. I don't know who would have been like a guy I saw on TV and say,
Sure.
"Yo, I've got a thing." I don't know. Maybe I didn't have the opportunity. Maybe there was no social media and stuff. But I always had the sense that the work has to speak for itself. I think. I mean, I think now. Maybe back then I was just there
Yes.
pushing up on people saying, "Look at my things." But but I doubt it. I feel like I think now there's a certain because of the ease of access to the people that are like out there, and also the idea that things can go viral like that.
Mm.
I guess it all seems easy. So people kind of come and go, "Yo, here's my thing," and then they haven't been vetted. I feel like once you get to a certain point, you get there because you were vetted,
Yes.
but then people don't have. I guess it's also access, because to get vetted, you also need access to the vetting process. And
Sure.
but then what are you gonna do? So you can't really fault people for rocking up saying, yo. I mean, I want to do that one day. Yo, Mr. Spielberg, hey, chonga, baba, chonga. Hey, hey,
Just pull
Mr.
out your
Christopher
iPhone, like
Nolan.
Jonga, Jonga.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan. I don't know if you've seen this thing, my man. Is Pro Tools, yabona. Fana nabo my Inception, my respect. And guys also will school you as well. The guys will school you about, we don't see your driving principle, and we can bring that. Oh, really? Where have you done that before? After? Oh, okay. Oh.
But like,
so,
I'm,
so yeah.
I mean, that idea is interesting. I think there is like some kind of like positives to this ease of access, because I think for a lot of people who wanted to make stuff, there was always this hindrance of like, yo, I need this massive camera, I need all this gear. What do you think of kind of people just being able to make stuff on their phones
I
and
love it.
iPads and cameras?
I love it. I mean, I get annoyed by those like Martin. I mean, those Quentin Tarantino's talking about everything should be shot on film, and because for me, if the digitization, if the digital revolution didn't happen, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't. I don't think we would have shot Pure Manati show with our own cameras and this and that, and then had that kind of tradition of you can pay 40,000 rand or whatever, buy a camera and shoot a thing that would be on TV across the world, even possibly. And then now with phones as well, like you can do that on a phone, and it's all just about how creative you are. I mean, it still requires a lot of work, because
Sure.
even with an Ari or whatever, like the latest Panavision,
Alexas and all those things.
so that you still need talent. The story needs to be told with you need like some sort of talent and intuition. So that's still not, you can't negotiate that you can't just pick up on the street. But I think what's happened is the ability to then showcase your talent has become easier because of all of these things.
That's dope. I think that ease of access is important, because you don't want to lock people out of any kind of industry, and it gives opportunity for more stories to be told. You just mentioned the Pure Manati show, which is kind of a seminal show for a lot of people. I'm sure people ask you about it all the time. What's kind of the seminal show for you that you watched that kind of changed maybe how you saw comedy or television or film?
Oh, it would have to be maybe between Seinfeld and if we're talking TV, I would say I remember 3 shows. I remember Sanford Lemurwa. At the time, I didn't know that those people were American. It was Sanford and Son, but Sanford Lemurwa. That was like Red Fox and the guy who played Lamont. I forget his name. And it was Insipedi, like what's his name? Red Fox. I mean, it was great. Sanford and Son. And then there was, I guess later in life, Seinfeld. Because Sanford and Lemurwa was just consuming with my granddad and it was one of those. I didn't know that those people were not from Johannesburg. And then I watched, and then Seinfeld. I mean, Seinfeld for me was like some sort of revolution. I remember not wanting to miss. It was so funny. I mean, it was just the funniest thing I've ever seen. And then Living Color. Like in Living Color was the one show where I think that's where Pure Manati kind of became, I wanted to make Pure Manati after seeing Living Color. I saw like Saturday Night Live and all of those, they were very different ways. In Living Color, it had like a black voice.
Yeah.
And it was, it was kind of racy. It was so dope. And I don't know if it was supposed to be on at 6 o'clock on a Saturday on like SABC. I don't know.
It feels like a mistake now.
Yeah, and so that was great. That inspired a lot for me. That made me want to make, because when I started doing stand-up, the thing that made it even more crazy was that I was seeing, I mean, I guess I love TV. I guess maybe when you grow up watching a lot of TV, and going to study drama in my head was like, you graduate to be on TV. You know what I mean? When I go to, or you graduate to be in the movies. I didn't, because it's like, what are you going to be? You went to university, what are you going to do? And I think also, it was so expensive. And when you get to drama school at UCT, they tell you that this is the most difficult thing you'll ever do. It's more
Wow.
difficult than doing medicine or anything like that. And
Okay.
it is the least rewarding. Yeah. And they're like, this is the least rewarding. So you are not, most of you are not going to be actors. Most of you are not going to end up on TV. Most of you
Wow.
are going to be poor. You're going to be working as waiters and everything. You are here because you love this thing. So if you have any doubt, and to get into the course is hard, right? You do like
Yeah, yeah.
auditions and tests and all of that. And then they say, if you are not sure that you are at the right place, and after everything we've told you, if you realize no, you made a mistake, you can leave now. Feel free to leave. And then on
Jesus.
that day, the guy sitting next to me, he stood up and left. But imagine now, you just climbed Everest, and they're like, yeah, there's another 3 Everest to climb. And he was like, okay, guys, I'm done here. You know what I mean? And
Kishab, Majid.
yeah. And it was like, and I thought, I remember thinking, this guy, was he set up here to just freak us out,
Oh
whatever. But
no.
yeah, that guy was gone. That guy was
That's
gone.
so
So
crazy. Yeah.
when I did stand up, like I saw stand up and I was working with comedians like Riyad Musa and David Kau and Tepo Mukhali, all of these guys. Loiso Gola was like a 12-year-old, 16-year-old put in petrol. Um, I saw that like they were telling these jokes and these cool South African sort of envelope pushing ideas,
Mm.
these sort of icebreakers. A lot of that stand up at the time was also like racial ice breaking because black
Yeah,
people and
yeah.
white people had never been together, and we were in these rooms which were mostly white people, and we were telling these jokes. And I was like, what would be cool here, and what this experience is, would be great if we did it in living color, where all of these
Wow.
ideas are like sketches, and you can actually be there on the streets in real life, and you see these things. And I was so like obsessed with this idea. Like it took
Yeah.
so long, but I was so obsessed that, and I'm glad it worked out. It worked out, and it crossed all of these kind of different age barriers and race barriers and all of that.
I think that the show like was a launch pad for a lot of South African comedians and voices, and that would trickle down over the years. And I think there's an interesting thing about how comedy has evolved in South Africa. Recently, Showmax pulled a lot of Schuster movies. I was interested. What do you think of that idea? Because I think at the time people really loved those movies. Yes, they've aged really badly, but what do you think of kind of how art over time can change and how it feels and what it means to people?
Yeah, I said this the other day on a show, like an Afrikaans show, where they were asking these questions. And
Mm.
it was nice because everybody was speaking Afrikaans, and then when they came to me, they spoke English, and it was cool. It was, but it was, what I said in that show was, at some point, doctors, people in airplanes,
Mm.
mothers in the house cooking used to smoke cigarettes. It was a thing that you can do. We are giving birth. It was like pilots, waiters, social. Everybody was smoking. That's what the world was like that.
Yeah,
Murunda, Mudimo Urufida. It was like that was a regular ways of being. That was not
for
a
sure.
crazy thing to experience. And
Mm.
now we know that was not cool. So it's like that. I feel like it's like, yeah, we have to evolve. And people was like, yeah, but do we need to remove these things? I'm like, yeah, because I don't want my kid watching that shit thinking, yeah, this is the way to roll. No. But I did crack up. I mean, I was watching with David Kibuga one Christmas, where they're
Yeah,
playing these things. It was like 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
yeah.
And it was one of those Schuster things. And we were watching it while critiquing, saying these things. Schuster, get blackface. It's maintaining, is this and that. And then, but we would kill ourselves. And then in the middle of one of these things, we say, my mom was in the in the next room, sort of like lying
Yeah.
on the couch while we were watching this thing. And then whatever was happening on the screen was so funny. She started cracking up, like what? It's like just what I mean. And then me and they were like, yeah, there you have it. Like it was just like there you have it. That's what people are into. This is the vibe. It's funny, but there's a certain evolution that we are going through that it's not gonna be funny anymore. I feel like
Yeah.
if you watch that shit now, you'll struggle to laugh. I doubt it though, but you'll struggle to laugh. At least you laugh knowing what you're laughing at.
Yeah. I mean,
Also that danger.
I used to love like Fidi Nasi, the one with the yogurt. Then I was like, oh no, he's like making fun of
Oh
poor
man, that
people.
was so
You know
bad.
those
Oh
ones.
yeah, that was so bad.
Yeah,
Because
but at the
that one
time,
doesn't stand the test. Yeah, that one doesn't stand the test of time. There's like ones that are like just no, these ones aren't gonna work. But he did have things that are genuinely funny for like ever. I mean, I still love just the crazy things with that. There was even a recent one with a coffin in the car, a coffin in the tech, the dead guy. I mean, it's just bananas. I mean, those things, those pranks are cool. I did like the Zulu, not Zulu, the one with the time travel where he goes to. It was like clear satire where he goes to
yeah.
a version of South Africa where things have changed with
Oh yeah,
Shorty.
not a Zulu on my stoop. One of those
No,
kind
not the
of
Zulu Mastiff. It was what was it called? Not Panic Mechanic. Sweet and Short. I think it was Sweet and Short. I
ah
thought that was really good. I always thought that was a good one. I mean, I need to revisit and just check it because I might be like, whoa, because he's always pulling blackface maneuvers. You know what I mean? Pulls blackface maneuvers every time. So
uh,
it will be interesting to just have. Maybe they should teach these things at universities as well. But also one thing I know
mm,
we're not a very. I don't want to now be insulting, but we're not
sure.
one of those. We don't have like a deep history. We're not like a very sort of literary nation. Am I making sense? We don't
Yeah, I
have
follow.
we're not like culturally like with like those references. Our
Mm,
references are not so many books. As a collective, we have more of Schuster and Generation as a as a as a reference. You know what I mean? We don't have like this is the South African art that we talk about as to
it ties
reflect
us
to.
together.
Yeah, we have ads, Schuster, and MTV from 1994 onwards. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
That
We're not like,
makes me feel so
yeah,
uncultured.
yeah, we're not. That's what I'm saying. If we know that about ourselves, then we can embrace the thing and then start sort of flexing a little bit more in multiple directions. But as a thing, of our education is like not. We've had like very bad education, and then
Yeah.
also just all of these things. I mean, I went to university. That's like when I went to university, I was just surprised. I mean, Andy Warhol, what? Yeah, like the things that I wouldn't have known about if I didn't go there, and they're like things that champagne things where you like, but they're not necessary things. There are many things that are important versus knowing about like chiaroscuro and what. Like it's like things that are not necessarily important. So I feel, but then we have so many cool like things like Zakes Mda, like we have
Yeah.
great writers, we have like great culture, but we are not in the world of those things aren't what they're not part of our sort of general conversation. You know what I mean? Like
No, I totally
I watched,
understand. Yeah.
yeah, I saw Somizi today wearing a jacket with his like parents, like it's this beautiful painted jacket with
Mm,
like his mom that passed away and his
mm,
father that passed away many years, legends of stage and screen, that vibe, wearing this thing. And then in the paper, our main paper, like our equivalent of our big daily, the
our New
new
York
one of
Times.
one of the news was so Mizzy wears jacket with parents painted. And I was like, okay. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I'm not gonna get that. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna get like the deep sort of. Yeah, I'm not gonna. It's not gonna be a thing where somebody wrote some big piece about something, or even about some Mrs. Parents and what they
Yeah.
meant to our culture and what they did, and do something that is actually gonna give the reader of this generation, like remember Inyaga Nyaga. I don't even know if you ever saw Inyaga Nyaga and Mshefana, those types of things, and that
Bits
was
and pieces of it. Yeah.
yeah, that was Somizi's dad, and that was like in my time growing up. That was one of the like going to see Chappelle, like when those movies came on, because they were so
Yes.
funny. It's like very slapsticky, but also quite transgressive in a way, And I was like, they would be because they were movies, so they weren't like everyday things as well. And when they came, grandmothers, people are being whoa, you're gonna see Mshafan, and it was great. And this is what I'm just saying now, what it meant if somebody watched it now and said this was happening during apartheid, this
Mm,
was what it meant, this is what you could or could not do, this is why it was transgressive for the time, what, this is, all
sure.
around, and all the way that even to some easy as the next generation of that, blah, blah, blah. That's what you would read in a sort of a better place, in a better writing place, or a place where people aren't gonna say, "Hi, it's too many words, guys. It's too many words. Keep it." And that's the editor I'm talking. Keep it.
Yeah.
We need people to click. We need people to let's go, guys. Please, huh?
Well, it
Yeah.
seems like
So
you're kind of referencing like the idea of things exist in a certain context, right? They will inevitably evolve, but there's almost, in order to create and to expand what you can make, you have to consume outside of your point of reference.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
and for me, sometimes, like, and not to shit on South African television, but I'm like, oh man, we can't have another drama about a family that does evil shit. Like, I think
yeah.
we've had 43 of those. How important is it?
43.
Like, no, for real. Like, I'm like,
Yeah,
it's like, and then it's just, the show's got a new name with the Zulu thingy. It's like,
yeah.
this week it's Ingozi. 2 months' time it's like,
Iskorokoro.
yeah,
Iskorokoro.
Mdeni.
Iteksi. Yeah.
3 weeks later, in Sogolo, the herd. Then you're like, oh, fuck off, man.
Isidingo the needs. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like, so it's frustrating for me, and like, I'm not, again, not shitting on anyone, but I do think there has to be kind of, South Africans have to start telling different kinds of stories that exist in other worlds. And that's why, like, Queen Sona was great, because it lives in the spy world where it's like, fuck man, there's other shit here. Let's do a
Yeah,
skateboarding movie, let's do
yeah, yeah.
a ballet thing. What do
Yeah,
you
I
think of
mean
that idea?
that's no, of course. I mean that's where I live, right? Trying to make these crazy new things, and it's not an easy place to live because
Sure.
like when people like somebody was talking, I think it was Dave again when he moved to New York, and he was like, what's great about here is that things have been done. You're not doing the things for the first time. You go
Mm.
to the thing, and it's like 50 years old, and they're like, cool, sit down, take that thing, and let's go. Whereas here
Sure.
we're like, you see everything like like because we're like a new culture in a certain way, and
Mm.
I also blame the cultural engineers or those people, the gatekeepers, the people that say you must have inzolo, iskorogoro, is what they make those things because it's safe,
Mm.
and there's a time because now people have a choice, more choice, they've got more options, but there's a time where you could only watch three TV channels, where
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
was great when TMS came out. It was this crazy envelope pushing thing. We literally had a giant envelope that we pushed across the screen in one of the
Mm.
things. No, like we really did. And then the that time, what was cool was that there were not many options. The people literally had, you have banana, you have porridge, you have orange. What do you want?
Sure.
Pick.
That's it.
So they picked, and so PMS got to have like a critical mass, like a big crowd watching it, and it became like this cool cult thing, which was cool.
Mm.
And people still say, but what was weird to me was that people kept on saying, when is that gonna come again? When is this thing? But between that thing and even doing Bantu Hour, there
Yeah.
was never a sketch show that was sort of trying to be this kind of satire and all of that. And even having done late night news and
Yeah.
Chester Missing, there hasn't been another show like that where people are like, oh, this type of thing.
Which is kind of wild
I
also,
mean,
that there's such massive gaps in between those two things. It feels like Dr. Dre albums. It's like, holy shit, when
yeah,
last?
but I mean, but for me, it's weird. I feel like if I made a space thing now, I'm in
Mm.
trouble. Those ones of enter like and I think it's I feel like it's like what you say, skateboards, like all of that. Like we maybe not used to alternative culture. I feel like our
Mm.
media is very like sort of one way. We need like a media that also feeds. It kind of serves, like there's like this monolithic sort of culture, like I said,
Mm.
that comes from that is where our references are Schuster, the Cremora ads, then the chicken licking era of ads, then
Yeah.
and then
Vodacom
there
ads.
was then there was Kwaito, then there was Isdingo, Iskorogoro, Ispukupuku, like
Insolo.
that's the info. And then it's like and I always thought that it was up to the people making those decisions to force like if 'cause if 1 minute you're like, okay, this thing works, Isdingo or Generations are like the biggest shows in the world or
Sure.
in South Africa. But if you had made something else that was because Yizo was cool and
Massive, yeah.
Pure Manata show were cool, and then but they didn't go, okay, let's make more of this type of stuff as well. Let's develop a late night culture. Let's do that. Because the people who were making those shows, making those decisions, they said that. They were like, look, we want to try and make a late night show. We
Sure.
haven't seen a thing like that. So we're gonna give it 10 o'clock. We don't know if it'll work, but and that's what happened. There was a spirit of experimenting, and it was all of that. Where I don't see that now. I don't go on TV and go, oh my God, look at it.
Yeah.
Then comes Netflix, and then you see all these creatives saying, yo, give me the hookup, because they know that the thing that they're trying to do when they go there to Auckland Park or to Rambek, they're not gonna, people are gonna say, Gren is a grandmother and a chi.
I went to a pitch once where it was like, cool, but do you have anything like competitive reality? And I was like, what the fuck? We just pitched you like a movie. And they were like,
what? No way.
Because they want like the dating shows and so we did this crazy narrative pitch, and it was like, okay, cool, but anything like I was like,
oh, that's crazy. Yeah,
I was like, there's no hope.
Do a sketch. You must do a sketch like that. You must do a sketch where like you do those like pitching like Star Wars or something, and they're like, so when does the grandmother come and a witchcraft? No, this is we're in Tatooine now. Yeah, so I feel like it's that, my only thing is that there's so many cool South African things that are like really cool, like cool. Things like Nakane Ture. When you think of Nakane Ture's music, his style, his way, that voice is so dope, but it's niche. It would be niche anyway, but it's it's so not spoken. It's so not like in the sort of any stream in South Africa. Like the guy lives in Europe or whatever now, because it's like and when he comes here, it's great. He's got his crowd and all of that type of stuff. But you go like such great art, such great creativity. We need. I mean, even for the longest of time, because we also have this herd mentality. For the longest of time, people had never seen Loiso Gola do stand-up comedy, but they just knew that he was not funny. Remember, it was like him.
Yes, people used to shit on Loy all the time for no reason. Yeah. It was hectic.
He's not funny. He's dry. We're like, what do you mean dry? You mean like his dry humor? Like there was also they meant dry, like it's not juicy. There's no jokes. It's not. They didn't mean it's dry comedy. They meant it's dry. It's like a desert. This thing. so that for me, yeah. So, and then they saw him do stand up, and then they were like, oh, okay. So he's actually funny. I'm like, so where did you get this idea that he wasn't funny? You just ran with it, And it's like weird. It's like nobody checks. Like here, what's cool about here is if you wanted to do things like stealing countries and Muslim people on mass, starting a church, making a car, like this is the new without engine, just buy it. The first 3,000 is 50,000 rand, and then the rest, we're gonna go to the regular price, but you can't start it. You need to buy it just sight and see. Like it's more because like there's just a lot more of a herd mentality. We don't encourage we don't encourage critical thinking in a way.
Well, here's a question, Kegs, that I'm like, why is it some artists find such great success in other places in the world, and then only then we kind of acknowledge them? For instance, you have like a Stogie T, who for a while was doing his thing, a Spook Matambo, in a weird way, kind of loyal with the stand-up only after the BBC stuff. Why do you think we're waiting for other people to kind of, give us that stamp of approval?
That's my age-old story that I always say is the low self-esteem because of our history. When we are far, like we are far from globally, sort of geographically, we are far, but we also have like lots of like an outsider, So the white South Africans were excluded by the world because of what they were doing here, and then the black people were oppressed by those people, and they were also, you are not worthy, you are not like, it's always that thing of when people here, we have that thing of how do you like it? When people come from overseas. Is it up to your standards? We're not, you know what I mean? It's always,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's better now, but we always, is it, you're happy with it, huh? Cool. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah. there's, I remember even with the World Cup when I mean World Cup was great. There was no crime and it was like everybody was in the spirit of like Philip, you know. And
Yes.
I remember, but then when everybody got injured or if they heard that somebody got killed or there was a crime or accident, they'd say, was it a local or a foreign? And then if it's a local, you know, if it's a local, they'll be like, yeah, okay, all right. We're still good. We're still good.
That's
We're making a good impression. Making, you know, so that like we like a young culture in that sense, quite rural in a way. Like
Mm.
not in a bad. I'm not saying these things like sissy masipa. I'm
Yes,
like
yes.
just to acknowledge because you kind of I love the idea of being from a big city and this kind of crazy and there is a sense of Joburg being like that, but it's not
Mm.
really. It's also still like cool pockets of candlelight here, and you know, like it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like this thriving like center of culture in the world. Lagos is more like that, you know, and the
Mm.
people from there they kind of strut all over the world with a certain confidence, and it's cool, you know. So I think it's like that isolation and the yeah, the isolation, the low self-esteem, the isolation, the apartheid, all of the things that we it's like we're the kids. Imagine you're that kid who's been murdered at home. Murdered.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, yeah,
Go
yeah.
in there. Don't go. Don't touch the toilet. Go. Hey, hey. And then cut to now go to school. Now at school, what's that child gonna be like? You know, they're gonna be a little bit. And it's also don't watch TV. Hey, don't. Hey, don't fuck white people. Hey, don't. Hey. The whole time. Hey.
There's all these
So,
there's all these rules in place.
yeah, no, yeah, and you always hear like a lawyer told me the story. He was somewhere with another comedian, now like another comedian, white comedian, South African comedian, cool guy, and
Mm.
then he was the guy's politics were almost like you know where a guy says things. It was like a sort of an intercultural kind of context or setting, and then the
Yeah.
guy said those sort of old school South African politics, not trying to offend, just being old school. Like you know where I come from, we don't cook the food, we eat it while it's running, you know. And people are like, whoa, you'll get sick. So it's those things that we don't. But yeah, I feel like if we got to the point where all of these people like that maybe these streamers coming and putting all sorts of cool ideas
Sure.
on our screens where we see ourselves represented in another way, that would be good. Maybe at SABC and at Mnet when they
Mm.
start saying, you know, something cool, man, something edgy, something challenging, then they go taking risks, and then you know, and then there'll be new shows. E challenge.
The challenge.
Um,
The future.
umde, umde.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna write it as we speak and pitch it in a few weeks and
yeah.
add a competitive
Lava my
reality in it somewhere.
skateboard. Yeah, lava my skateboard. Ah, wait, that's the vibe, you know.
But
um,
you've just
um,
mentioned the idea, sorry, Kags, of taking risks, you know, which is, I think, I mean, it's more direct in stand up. You see it regularly. How important is this idea of taking risks as an artist, um, in order to kind of find exactly what it is that I guess works for you? And also, I'm also kind of intrigued by the idea of people who make things for themselves versus people who make what they think other people are going to like.
Yeah, I mean that's the age old, right? I mean, you know it yourself just from stand up. Like
Mm.
where you go, you test. The cool thing about stand up is you have we do the tried the we try, we test, we do the test, and we kind of it's your voice, it's nobody else's. It's not like you leave home and then your mother has written you a script. This is what you want. We want you to represent today, Mojek. So
Sure.
so so that I feel like the comedy gives you a certain kind of confidence to experiment and to take
Mm.
risks and to not be scared of the silence. I mean, that's what we learned early, is don't be scared of the silence, you know. And I was reading Edgar Wright was
Yeah.
called. It was I don't know if it was the 10th anniversary of Scott Pilgrim
Meets
versus
the
the
world.
World.
Yeah.
Is the world? Yeah. And I mean, I really enjoyed that movie. But then apparently, when it came out, it totally tanked at the box office, you know.
Mm.
And it was a terrible weekend for that movie. And then I think Seth MacFarlane, like Edgar Wright was actually bitching about Seth MacFarlane being a douche because then Seth MacFarlane tweeted Scott Pilgrim 0, the world 2, you know?
Oh
And he was just
no.
like, man, when a thing doesn't work, I mean, I can tell you now, I've had more things that don't work than ones that have, you know?
Sure.
And it's like a shitty feeling. And then the studio head said to him, years, not days, right? And it was now when you see 10 years later, there's
Mm.
things that were hits that day, things that killed at that box office that Friday, that destroyed Scott Pilgrim, and nobody's talking about them now. And Scott
Yeah,
Pilgrim is this cult thing that is really you can see that there's this texture to it that is just like it's a timeless thing, you know. And I
for
think
sure.
that what you just said now, the doing what you think people are what people are gonna like can work. You
Mm.
know, it can work, but the doing what you like always works. Even if it doesn't work now, it
Sure.
always works because it's like you're always gonna be like, "Whew, I'm happy with this thing." People will be like, "And like ren, you know, is it the advert or a movie? One day you'll understand. It's fine, you know. So,
Take your time.
so yeah. So I think that always err on the side of you kind of feeling, you know. I'm sorry. It's always as creatives, the check versus the what. You know, the check always it's important. You can't front for the check. And
Yeah, that
sometimes you need
balancing
to make those. Yeah,
of art and economic interest is always a big thing.
yeah, exactly. And I think like whatever decision is made, I feel like even if you have to do these commercial things, sort of consider a lot, which is what you have to do. You have to consider a lot. I think you know, even when you're saying, "Is it for me? Is it for them?"
Yeah,
It's for them, right? It's always going to be for people, but it's what you think is great versus what you like. Yeah. People, you don't let them curate what you do. You make what you think people are going to like. What I don't even understand what I just said, but I think that, like,
I,
you know,
I think
catching feelings. Like catching feelings was like a thing where I thought, yo, man, this is the type of thing I want to make. This is a story. It's this. If people, you know, Matuetu especially, like it's a thing
mm,
that I think I want to make this type of thing. I want to make it crazy. I want to break visual rules. I want to just have fun. It must be bananas. And
sure.
I had so much fun doing that thing, and then the people also enjoyed it the same. It's like a thing now. It's like a movie without people. It's a South African movie of the ages, which is great. I mean, people
Yeah,
talk about it in the same like breath as Tsotsi and Jerusalem and those types of things. So I'm like, yo, and it took us however long it just took a lot of passion and that belief, that specificity of, I guess, intention.
yeah.
So yeah,
I think yeah, committing to an idea that you like is great because you know whatever happens, it's still at least you won't feel like hard done by at the end, right? You're not like ah shit, they made me do
exactly.
this shit. Like I didn't want to cast that,
Yeah,
whatever. And we
exactly,
can also
exactly.
feel it when we consume it. I think like you know, I'm without loading art and compelling people to be authentic. I think we
Yeah,
can feel when a thing is from a genuine place, you know.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Kags, before we let you go, do you have any advice to
It's
anybody out
Gina.
there who's like, I know we've been here for a minute, and I didn't want to hold you for too long.
I'm gonna say advice is
Just like, I mean,
my basic advice is don't go out to the streets unless you have to. It's
that's great.
dangerous out there. I mean, just don't do that shit. I don't understand how people don't understand that. It's like you know, the whole world is in hospital,
Mm,
and people are we are. I was hearing stories now. What was actually for me annoying is we started this show at 7. For the
yeah.
past 2 months, before we kind of were in these peak problems of what people are actually dying and getting infected, um, there were people outside of my house, their neighbors blowing vuvuzela at 7 o'clock for the health workers. I
Oh, I
was like, yo,
remember
man.
that.
I was like, yo, I perform. You know, I'm a guy who gets on stages. I've never been like had a standing ovation before getting up on stage. And then now the guys are on stage, they're having a tough time. They're really fucking seeing their asses in the hospitals, and there's fuck all for Vazelas. You know, I'm really fucking annoyed. And the whole time I was saying, when they were doing that, I kept on saying, like, what the fuck is up with this shit? Like, come on,
What's the point?
wait. You just saw this on TV. Just because Pharrell Williams is blowing things that side, you also want to be the same. Check, man. You know? Anyway, yeah, just stay indoors and don't get. And also, yeah, just be considerate of other people. Like we all it's a group effort. This thing, I just get annoyed when people are kind of tech is easy. This thing, we all gotta catch it. You know how they say, we
I
all
feel
gonna
you.
catch
Yeah,
it. So
it's a mess.
might as well just get it over. And I spoke to Muzi, Muzi Dlamini. He had the Rona,
Did he
and
really
he
have the
said to
COVID?
me, yeah, and he said to me, fuck those people who say that you don't want this thing. You do not want this thing. And then
Oof.
he said also that with the way he had it, if he was a smoker, he believes that he'd be out of the mix.
Oh
So
shit.
these are people who've had the thing. You know what I mean? So like I'm
That's
just
crazy.
yeah. And also
Um,
the cashiers. Apparently at the
yeah.
hospitals, the cashiers, that's who's coming in. Those are the people that we need to think of when we do this fucking shit. Because they're the people that are at the front here. Apart from the nurses and those are the people that are dealing with all of us and are dirty 20 rand notes.
At the supermarkets and all of that, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Heavy days. Kegi, on
Anyhow,
that bombshell,
yeah.
thank you
Sweet,
for
bro.
joining us. I'm gonna go work on my drama, Umdeni, the struggle,
Yeah.
and we'll go pitch very
Inyaganyaka.
Inyaganya.
Inyaganyaka was actually no, that was so Mrs. Dad's movie. We must watch that. That's dope. It's a very funny movie. But
We're gonna
yeah,
go check it out.
internet sharp, doggo. Thank you very
Salute,
much
have a
for
good one. Thanks for
inviting
joining
us.
us.
Sweet.
Thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Tell Us More live experience. Great, awesome chat with the wonderful Kagiso Lediga. I had check this. Sorry, we're in like these are actual real things here. I've got the PMS, the Pure Manati Show DVDs. I think I might go check these out after this seminal TV show. Gave us some of like the greatest local stand-up comedians. Like Kagiso Lediga, David Ka. I remember watching this as a kid, like I think Friday nights at about 9, 10 p.m. And these were just some of my favorite sketches, and everyone would talk about it at school on the following week. David Kibuka here. And this was like a really big moment for me when it came to figuring out or learning about South African comedy and television. And I think Kagi is part of that wonderful generation and crop of pioneers who represented these new voices and telling black stories in a way that we possibly hadn't seen before. So shout out first of all to Kagi. If you haven't seen Queen Sono, it's currently streaming on Netflix. They're working on season 2. Of course, Matwete was a great movie. Man, the Mandem got a great catalog. Bantu Hour, LNN. But yeah, man, thank you guys for tuning in. It's been fun. We're gonna take a break for a bit because we streamed like 3 in a row, so we're all mad exhausted. We're gonna rest up. Hope you guys are resting up. Please wear your masks. If you want to start banging your pots and pans again for health workers, do that because that really helps. But either way, take it easy out there. Make sure you wash your hands. Only go out when you need to. Keep practicing your social distance. Check up on your friends. Find out how they're doing. Send them a text. Send them a hug. Say what's up to a loved one. Keep your head up. These are really dark and difficult times, but we're all trying our best to keep it going, keep it flowing like the water. We'll see you guys very soon. Good night. God bless. God bless. Namaste, your ass at home. Okay, thanks. Bye.